Hey now, Mr. Coverdale, how you doing today?
Hi, Jeremy. How are you? I see you on my Twitter. How's it going?
Yeah, we're always interacting. We always have a blast.
Listen, I'm getting double Canadian here. What the hell? I feel like putting ice on.
I know. And listen, I get the #1 on-air host, and I get the #1 singer in the world, so I'm getting a double as well.
Look
at very
you.
Canadian.
Oh, listen, I'll come and watch squirrels with you, Mitch. Don't worry.
Squirrels and raccoons, my friend. That's my life.
Grab your ice skates, Mr. Coverdale. Come on
Jeremy,
over.
where are you? Where are you, Jeremy? And where?
So I'm actually.
I think Mitch, you're in You're both French Canadian, right?
Well,
no, he's Mohawk.
Mitch lives about like 20 minutes from me, but I live on a native reservation. We're Mohawks, so we're just outside of Montreal on the South Shore, on the banks of the mighty St. Lawrence. So I live on a reservation. And,
okay, so come on, is it Germany, white deer, white wolf,
so actually,
or some fucking name?
Well,
Whitesnake. Oh my God.
Well, that's it. We keep it with the theme, right?
It's a pleasure to talk with you, gentlemen. Makes a refreshing change.
Yeah,
absolutely. So we've got
it is.
Probably half an hour. If who starts? Ladies first, Mitch?
Yes, so Jeremy, go ahead.
Well, let's get right into it. So Whitesnake, Whitesnake, the blues album came out on February 19th. Yeah. It's available wherever music is sold. Make sure you get that awesome blue double LP gatefold vinyl, which is awesome. I've got the white one. I've got the red one, super sexy. I called it Sex Red Vinyl because it's exactly what it looks like. And I'm still waiting for my blue one to come in, so looking forward to that. Welcome to the show, Mr. David Coverdale.
Beautiful. It's beautiful. The blue vinyl, and there's no compromise in any way, shape, or form. If you're a vinyl fan, which it sounds like, we're doing the best we can. You know, when we started, even Purple, with the global success we had to use after they'd cut classical records, we got the leftover, shit to make our vinyls from. It was classical records that were given the good stuff. And we're giving, the absolute best. The guy I work with, my A&R guy in London, Hugh Gilmore, who's also my co-art director on artwork and T-shirts, album covers. Super guy. Worked together 15, 20 years. But he is a huge aficionado of vinyl, and we sell every piece we do. So he's our quality control. And I think you're going to be very happy when you slip that out. You're going to want to wear it, man.
Oh, great. Yeah, because I'm holding the red one in front of me right now.
I just saw 2 vinyl albums on nipples popping out. Sorry.
Well, that's it. And listen, you're talking about the packaging and everything. It sounds like you have a lot of pride in it, as you should, because it's honestly the best packaged vinyl record I've bought in the last couple of years. The gatefold's beautiful, the embossed cover, and the attention to detail as well, like the write-ups and everything. It's just so well done, Mr. Coverdale. So I just want to say, from a fan's perspective, I appreciate it. So thank you.
All of this is passion-driven and fan-driven. If you're familiar, Mitch and I have talked about this before. Right now, when I did a couple of years ago a catalog deal with Rhino, and we've turned into the best of friends, and Warner's, and I work with Warner Chappell Publishing. This is like a team that you just go, why the hell didn't I have these guys 40 years ago? But I'm really grateful to have them now. And they're vision-driven with me. I've done everything I do. I discuss with them from top to bottom. This is what I want to do. They allow me an enormous budget to video. As you can see, there's lots of new videos that we're releasing with songs that didn't exist 6 months ago. And it's really fan-driven. When I look at somebody who spent $60 or something, and they turn around and go, "Oh my God, I can't believe the Evolution CD, how that song was born," or that means the world to them. And it's just a lot of thought goes into it. Fans are gonna love this. That's our bottom line. Are the fans gonna like it? They're gonna love it. Well, let's go with it.
I agree. Just quickly talk to me about revisiting some of the tracks, because, sometimes when you get these sort of greatest hits compilations, you just get the same sort of reheated slice of pizza year after year after year. But when you get yours, you get a whole new product. It's a whole new album. I mean, the Looking for Love, the Crying in the Rain, the Too Many Tears. I mean, they just sound so different than the originals, and it's great because now you can sort of throw them in your playlist 4 times, 3 times,
Well, it's you've got to remember this has been a whole labor of love. These are not greatest hits albums. What I've literally done is use the very famous members of the Whitesnake family, like Still of the Night, Here I Go Again, the Judgment Day, Crying in the Rain, to introduce a lot of people to lesser known cousins, distant relatives. I honestly feel some of the ballads I wrote with Doug Aldridge, All I Want, All I Need, Easier Said Than Done, are up there with Is This Love. They just didn't get the exposure. I didn't want to work with overtly corporate America, which is how Geffen was turning. So I didn't even give him what was an album called Restless Heart. And my God, wait till you hear the remix, Mitch. I know you and I have talked about this before. The albums to die for. We've got Joel on there now and Derek Sherinian. It's blisteringly good. It's definitely paid off to revisit that. And that's going to be the first box set probably for Christmas this year, with COVID rearing and those variants rearing its terribly ugly head again. There's a lot of factories that are involved in making all the elements that go into those large packages, unable to guarantee delivery of certain things. So we have to, move with the time on that. So I don't think that's going to be out until like September, October. But that's going to be another action-packed. Maintaining the integrity of the original by remastering with Scott Hull in New York. Mm-hmm. But the first disc will be the Chris Collier, Michael McIntyre, and David Coverdale remix. It's a beautiful piece of work. I'm thrilled with it, and it is now a different cover. It's actually a Whitesnake album. But these, as I say, I'm introducing lesser known, because if you remember, after leaving corporate record business, I didn't make records for a couple of years, and then I had a meeting with a very strong, at the time, very gung-ho SPV. You must remember back in the...
Oh, I remember them.
Of your mind.
Yes.
Well, they came to me, and they were like... It was like early days for me, because pretty much all the record company people I worked with, Mitch, Jeremy, were musicians. They had some musical, either they were in bands, so I could talk to them about music. We could discuss integrity. I don't want to really do this. Do I have to do Top of the Pops? It's not really, because I've always felt that my work, considering the success we achieved, was more 70s album based, late 60s, 70s album. We've just had an amazing run with singles. And I've got that once again. But working with SPV and then my Italian stallions, Frontiers, the imprint was minimal. It was much stronger in Europe and Japan. South America, not so. North America, not really at all. So a lot of these things we're introducing are brand new to people. And that's very refreshing for me, and that they stand up to the big, big hits,
They really do. Let me just follow up real quick on you mentioned Derek Sherinian. Talk to me about bringing in and adding keys to that, because Derek's, he's played with Alice Cooper, he's played with Kiss, he's just one of the nicest guys.
Billy Idol,
Billy Idol, of course.
We've never actually met in person. It's always texts and phone calls.
Nice.
And I'm a huge admirer of his work. One of the things it was so interesting. John Lord was a huge part of the sonic identity of Deep Purple. His left hand was that huge root, enhanced by Glenn Hughes' ridiculously twangy and funky Rickenbacker. And John brought that left hand stuff to me with Ready and Willing album, and up to Slide It In, that lovely scorching scenario, and Derek, and I'd missed that frequency in a lot of the songs, particularly the Slip of the Tongue album. I missed something, and I could never. What the hell am I missing here? And then, of course, it's oh my God, a big scorching Hammond organ, if you'll excuse the expression. a big scorching squirrel.
Hell yeah.
We love
More
the squirrel.
squirrels, the better. But Derek, he first did sessions for me on the Restless Heart album, and honestly made that sound like, well, when you hear it, you know what I mean. It sounds like an amazing hybrid from the early Whitesnake going into the more American style, you know, when I started working with American players. And Joel, of course, not one Flying Dutchman simply isn't enough for me. I have to have two Flying Dutchmen, you know. So Joel was in Vegas working with Cher, God bless her, old friend. And he had a couple of days off, and he said, I was thinking about just coming up to the studio because we're in Reno. It's 50 minutes flight. And I said, yeah, for sure. And I was working on, it might have been early stuff with Reb. I'm not sure, but Reb was in residence. Anyway, Mikey said to my right-hand guy, you know him, Mitch, you've spoken to him. He said, well, Joel's come in. Do you want to put him to work? And I went, what are you? Oh, I went, Restless Heart. Yeah, because after doing Slip of the Tongue and Coverdale Page, I wanted to strip down. And basically, Restless Heart was initially going to be a David Coverdale solo album at the recommendation of my manager at that time, the amazing Howard Kaufman, and Rupert Perry, the president of EMI, after Coverdale Page. Says, okay, now it's time for you to work under David Coverdale. And then the whole regime changed, and we had to do David Coverdale and Whitesnake. It was infuriating. But all we did was to try to make it more snaky by making the drums louder in the mix and Adrian's guitar. But it felt like it was imbalanced. It wasn't quite right.
Right.
So my feeling was what we need, it's a great Hammond player, no questions. Derek Truanian's the go-to guy. Because a lot of people I've worked with have worked with Derek too. And Joel just played so respectfully. He never stepped on any of Adrian's guitars. There was never any discussion of removing Adrian's solos. But it's really toughened the record up. It really is like that, as I say, almost as if it's the crossover record from early Whitesnake to like the 87 album. You know, it's really cool.
Well, so talking about that 87 album and, you know, where we're at now with the Red, White, and Blues record, how do you take those songs? Because, listen, like, Mr. Coverdale, I'm 26 years old, and I've only been listening to this music for like 15 years. You know, my parents introduced me to this stuff, and I'm so familiar with, you know, those 80-sounding records, and I love the cannonball snares and the big hairy guitars and all that stuff. When you go into, redo these records and these songs and put them together on these, on this collection of the Red, White, and Blue, and you want to update them, so to say, why do that? Because I think they're just so iconic, those songs, with the big 80s
well,
snare.
Jeremy, let me tell you, for you, and that particular cup of tea, you're getting that. You're just having the original remastered.
Okay.
So that original record, the same as on 87, the same on Slide It In, the same as, we still have to remix a lot of the Slip of the Tongue album.
Mm-hmm.
Coronavirus came in, baby, closed a lot of things down.
Wrecked everything.
But what I did want to do, and I mean with great respect, was to lose the 80s tinkly keyboards, which was much more a scenario of Keith Olsen. And my respect for him as a producer, the over-echoey snare. I mean, everybody thinks the Bonzo would have an over-echoey. It wasn't. It was a room ambience that they used. They used a single mic dangling down a stairwell for when the levee breaks and Zeppelin 4. It was really, but all of that booming echo cancels other things out. I would love recording at Little Mountain. I would have loved to have recorded Cozy there, but I recorded at Little Mountain with Ainsley Dunbar, and we ended up opening like a loading bay to capture some of that big concrete fucking ambience. Yeah. And Denny Kamasi, who is such a clean player, when we did Coverdale Page, but the circumstance is it cancels other things out when you have that big pop. If you listen to the new mix of Is This Love, You could hear all the little innuendos of John Sykes' guitar playing,
Right.
whereas you couldn't hear that before. You know, you hear the resolve of John's amazing solo, whereas before it was just a wodge of notes in echo. And it was just of the time. That's the thing with my work. Having 5 decades of work behind me, I've worked with most of the technologies, starting off with 8-track demos before joining Deep Purple.
Your Fostex
16-track Rolling Stones truck, you know, and they're time capsules. I get that. But it's just too distracting for me. And I can't, like Joe Elliott, a mutual friend, I'm sure. And when I sent him the rock album, he said, "Oh my God, is that a different Sykes solo on Still of the Night?" I said, "No, you can just fucking hear it now."
Ah, right,
You know,
okay.
it's cleaned up, you know, and yeah, it was amazing for me to revisit this stuff with so many different musicians, so many different technologies over the decades, so many different engineers, so many different producers, mastering guys. They've all affected the sound of this thing. And the circumstance is, for me, a frustrated DJ, I sound like George Hahn. For me, for me, a frustrated
For
DJ,
me,
putting a Whitesnake mixtape together was so dissatisfying. Whereas I never noticed with other artists, but with mine, I went, "Oh fuck, the snare drum, cozy snare's too boomy,"
right?
You know, compared to Ainsley's, you know, or whatever. So my first instruction once Christopher Collier, our mixer extraordinaire, came into our lives, I said, "This is beautiful. You've got a great handle on it." I said, "Now what we have to achieve is a consistent sonic identity," which one of the things is my voice, of course. And for many years, I would always mix my voice back into it. It's like early 70s records. The voice was just part of the band, you know? And now you can hear I'm singing, "Is This Love?" not "Is This Lunch?"
Yeah.
So that's a big improvement.
It's a lot more upfront and, a lot more present.
But of course, there's nothing wrong with lunch. I mean, let's be honest. But no, just real
No,
quick,
no.
you mentioned Jimmy Page. There will be a Page Plant 2 at some point. Is that what I'm understanding? And is it all new
songs? It won't
songs?
be on my dime, but potentially Coverdale Page.
What did I say?
Plant.
Oh, I said Plant.
Who the hell are you talking to, sir?
Mr. Coverdale, I was just as confused as you were.
I have gotten very old, and it's the Alzheimer's working its way in. Oh my God! Did I say
Alzheimer?
Oh,
yes, you did.
But
wash
covered
your mouth out with soap and water. Stick a bar of palm olive in there.
But at least I'm calling you. At least I'm calling you David this interview. I didn't make that mistake twice. Huh?
No problems. No problems. I have the greatest respect. But
Sorry.
I literally, I'm trying to think where we are. I think at the end of the Christmas present I got, I'd been negotiating with a former record company for missing assets. And some of the things had gone up in a fire, and I went, well, that's not fucking good enough. And when you're dealing with high-rise apartments full of lawyers whose job is just to frustrate you and make it so cost-prohibitive in litigation, I came up with the idea of, well, okay, well, give me this, give me that, and give me the Coverdale Page record. And lo and behold, I got it. So that was an amazing Christmas present. As my son was in fucking hospital, we needed something, some joy. And I was very happy to call Jimmy and say, "You're not going to believe this, but I've just got us control worldwide, blah, 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 of Coverdale Page." It's the 30th anniversary in 2023, not 1823.
Yeah.
The 30th anniversary. I've been working on a couple of ideas to present to him. He's at his country estate. Understandably, will not go into London or a studio. I said, we have plenty of time. So, and I've just given him these things for him to think about. I think the fans would love a Jimmy Page mixed version of the album, and along with the original. So Jeremy's happy.
Yes.
And
work.
a David Coverdale mix for my people. So that would be part of the Ultimate Collector's box set. You know, Jimmy has to agree to this kind of stuff. And I've written with Doug Aldridge on iChat, for Christ's sake, and then FaceTime. and I haven't had to do that prior to the virus with Reb and Joel.
Right.
But it worked very, very well for Doug and I because we knew each other extraordinarily well, could finish each other's sentences, etc. And not only did we get on well as people, which was one of the inspirations for me and motivations to actually say, come on, let's sit down with a couple of acoustics and see if we can musically converse. And we created some magic. So I would have been really happy had Good to Be Bad been my last studio album. And then, lo and behold, I would have been even happier if Forevermore was my final studio album. And then, oh my God, are you kidding me? We have another great record with Flesh and Blood. So, the inspiration is still there to do that, given the circumstances. But I have so much stuff to do, guys, in terms of finishing off box sets for the next 3 to 5 years, which is what my deal with Warner's and my super team there. But also, I also will make the time, certainly under these circumstances, to remix Coverdale Page. And we have, I think, 4 unreleased songs. And I have a couple of ideas, as I say, I've been working on that I want to present to Jimmy and see if he wants to have something to do in lockdown outside of London. So fingers crossed.
And for the record, it's not that I don't like the new records. I was just saying that it's cool to hear the differences between them. And now the fact that you explained it, saying that, the whole point of it and remixing the albums, remastering them, was to elevate and really showcase the performance. That makes a whole lot of sense because you're absolutely right. That's exactly what it does. I was listening to Slow and Easy off the Blues album a while ago.
Michael Devin was always disappointed. Michael Devin and Brian Tischer were super rhythm section. In fact, Brian brought Michael Devin to my attention. And obviously, he's 10 years plus now, a Snake, a beautiful soul whom I love dearly. But he was always disappointed with the mix on the Forevermore album. He felt he was like kind of short-souled, which was really disappointing for me to hear. So we made a point of making sure he sounded great. I heard from Tishy the other day, too, and he's thrilled with what he's heard. So, I'm sending all these guys the videos as they're coming out because they've never seen them.
Right.
It's from footage from shows, unseen footage from home video, etc., and everything seems to be working. We have a brand new guitar-based mix video of "Give Me All Your Love" maybe this week or next week.
Nice.
And we're going to hold back Too Many Tears for the Restless Heart box set. Even though I'm in love with the new mix. Yeah. And that's probably Too Many Tears. I think one of my favorite Adrian solo. Some of the work he did on Restless Heart was just glorious for me. The Take Me Back Again. Interestingly enough, Woman Trouble Blues and Take Me Back Again, two fabulous Whitesnake epics, were originally ideas that had Jimmy Page and I made a second album. And Adrian, of course, feasted upon them. And two of my favorite Vandenberg solos are Take Me Back Again and Woman Trouble Blues. I think he plays magnificently on them. He's a great blues player, Adrian.
Yeah, he is. Terrific player.
He's a super blues. Yeah, he's a super player. And you listen to those two and the solo on Too Many Tears. Oh my word! Yeah, amazing. And of course, Derek's on there too, scorching his way through there. And Joel and Derek are on all I want to talk to Steve as well because I haven't had time. He's at a studio. A lot of people aren't blessed with a home studio, but Steve's got a super studio.
Yeah, he
I might ask him if he wants to do any, for the revamped Slip of the Tongue, if he wants to do any more. Adrian's really busy with, and I'm so happy he's got his name back. Can you believe all those years, guys? His former colleagues in Vandenberg wouldn't let him use his own fucking name.
That's insane.
Gee. And kept going on it. They kept losing case after case, and he still couldn't use his own fucking name. Yeah. So anyway, there you go.
But he got it back, and he brought in Ronnie Romero, and they made a great record.
Thank God. Yeah. Well, yes, indeed, and thank God. That was right. And we're still in good communication. I'm very happy he's in his 60s now. It was very lonely up there for a time.
Mr. Coverdale, I got to say, my whole takeaway from this conversation is that you're just having an absolute blast.
Yeah. Well, one of the bottom lines is that tomorrow my son hopefully gets the final thumbs up from his pulmonary specialist.
Yeah.
He not only was dealing with the coronavirus, an enormous challenge, and continues to be, but we almost lost, I think Mitch and I spoke, I think I almost lost my primary home to a wildfire.
Oh my God.
And then we had to move into the studio house for 3 or 4 months while this was, it's impossible to imagine, but this wildfire, the moment I saw it was just a plume of, when you see a tire burning or something and it's that rubber black smoke, and I went, oh, fuck that, I don't like that. But it was a clean black plume going up. Oof. And within 30 minutes it was being evacuated and surrounded by a wildfire. And the next day I was expecting to come up and just see ashes, and just how the hell am I going to explain this to Cindy? Because that day she'd driven to LA to see Jasper. And the house survived, but of course it was in all of our landscape. I mean, it really, when we've had, still thankfully we have snow here, which covers up all the burn, acres and acres of burnt land, no trees. It's almost a lunar landscape without the snow. It's heartbreaking, but the house survived, but it took 3 or 4 months to clear and clean, disinfect, fumigate, a new air system, which was filthy from it because that sucked in a lot of the smoke. There are firms, I don't know whether you guys know this, you just see the awful headlines of wildfires in California, but there are firms that go in and clean all your fucking clothes, all your shoes. They photograph everything, put all your books back in the library shelves. And although I think my guy was a bit dyslexic, so every so often I go, what the hell is that doing there? Don't let my wife see the Playboy book of 1960. But it's breathtaking, the job they did and the fact that our home was amazing. And then we just moved back in. We think initially our son Jasper may have popped a rib. It turns out to be bacterial pneumonia, and he punctured a lung. Oh so God. He spent all of Christmas in hospital, a month in hospital, 2 surgeries. And as I say, tomorrow, I think it's going to be 2 thumbs up. But living with that, we celebrated Christmas. I don't know whether you saw Mitch on social media. Yeah. I think we celebrated Christmas 10 days after Christmas. There's no way Cindy and I were going to open gifts or whatever.
Well, no, without him, and
it was. So it's been extraordinarily challenging. So once he's gotten the write-up, I can let that out of my focus. And go, right, we have 6 full radio shows, which are very entertaining, all put on the back burner because of all of this stuff. Yeah. We have to reconnect from where we were 4 or 5 months ago, 6 months ago, and then get back in the saddle.
Right. Oh, man. Well, aside from the fact that you had all that shit going on, the fact that you sound so optimistic and, like as if nothing's going on, it's hey, you're a professional.
Well, no, it's the circumstance is, I think people know.
And you're pretty open about everything, on social media, and, you're very present online, so people know what's going on.
That's amazing. I mean, most of my homes have been in gated communities and surrounded by cameras. My privacy and protecting my family has always been number one on my list.
Yeah.
I feel I give so much as a professional. And as soon as this happened, I just felt motivated and inspired to try to keep people's spirits up.
Can I just say
an extraordinary, challenging fucking time, dudes? And continues to be. But I feel there's light at the end of the tunnel, which I most certainly didn't feel at the beginning of the year.
No.
Yeah. I just want to say, just as a fan, that's what I find intriguing or interesting about following you, is that you keep us engaged. you're putting out the red, the white, the blue. You're doing tours. You went out with Foreigner a couple of years ago. You're on social media interacting. And that's what I think a lot of bands fail to do. They put out an album, and then for 2 years you see nothing. You go to their Twitter and it says last updated in 2017, and you just but you're there, and that keeps us interested.
Yeah, Whitesnake continues to stay present because of what you do.
Well, the circumstances, I can't answer for anyone else, but you remember we talked about it, Mitch, before. That songs from the dining room table. I mean, and also a lot of these box sets, these demos when on CD3, I think it is, the last 87, the Whitesnake 87 30th anniversary. Those demos have been, since I joined Deep Purple, I was given like the cassettes of instrumental music to make into songs.
Yeah.
Fuck, are you kidding? Okay, right, okay. So that was so then I went, well, fuck it, I'm going to sit down with Richie and write, or Tommy Bolin, or Glenn,
right.
or John, God rest his soul. But those things were never supposed to see the light of day. Management drummed it. If you lose this, you're fired. Because in those days was lots of piracy. You've got to remember that, bootlegs and stuff like that. So, that was like browbeaten into me. So for years, it was just like, for the 87 album, I'll never forget this. Our last day of rehearsal, we just ran through a few tunes. Ainsley had come in, kicked ass on Looking for Love, Bad Boys, what the hell else? There was another one. But most drummers couldn't keep up with the Bad Boys tempo and then the double kicks that Sykes and I wanted at the end.
Yeah.
Because he was really we approached Tommy and Rudy twice to come in. But for unfortunate reasons, it didn't happen, of course. And then Tommy and Rudy joined me afterwards, go figure. But some of those evolution things were the first time I played some of those things to John. And then for people, is this love or just another sad affair? That was the original vocal, and that was originally for Tina Turner. But when we were talking about with Rhino as being a heritage or legacy artist, whatever one. Apparently, I'm a classical artist now.
You're like,
okay. Yeah. We like that.
Next to Bach.
You're like our Mozart. Come on.
My dream.
But by the way,
Johann Sebastian. But so we give that stuff out, and that was so successful and so well received. It made me more comfortable, whispering songs. I had a terribly painful double hernia, and I'd play these songs, for people, Vacuum and Dust and write some coronavirus blues. And it became, I did like 40 fucking songs. Half the time, Cindy was either cooking in the kitchen, I'm at the end of the dining table, or she was taking a nap, and I had to sing really quiet. But it kept...
Uh-oh.
Oh, we lost him. Did we lose him?
Oh, no. We lost him. Oh, that is too bad.
Oh, all right. Well, maybe the publicist...
He might pop back in. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Well, let's recap quickly. Whitesnake, Red, White, and Blues albums are available now. The most recent came out on February 19th, the Blues one. This is the red one. Look at that awesome vinyl.
And by the way, you can actually see the embossing. Like, if you hold it up just at that angle, you can see.
Yeah.
That is spectacular. And I know I've asked him before why Looking for Love was left off the North. Oh, hold on.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, he's back. Hello.
Is he back? Mr. Coverdale?
Is that you or me?
Oh.
Is that you or me?
Oh, you lost. Yeah,
that was you. We were still going. We kept the show going. Wow. Well, but thank you. Thank you for calling back.
Pretty. The show must go on.
Yes, we were just showing the red vinyl to everybody. But before we lose you, I know we've spoken about it before, but I want to. Looking for Love is one of the greatest songs you've done, and I still don't understand why in North America you left it off the goddamn 80s.
I didn't. I blame Fred. I just put the target right on John David Kolodner. I came back from a very disappointing visit with my daughter in Munich. I came back, got off the plane and developed flu. I was living in a penthouse in the Mondrian Hotel in West Hollywood, feeling like crap. And I discovered this production cassette in those days of the album, you know, and it was completely different running order to what I'd said and proposed. And I mean, Crying in the Rain to close it, dude, not a fucking opener. And the biggest attention grabber you could imagine was Still of the Night. That was going to be the opening. Right. And it sounded awful to me. I was almost $3 million in debt. And it was afterwards I went, wait a minute, where the fuck is Looking for Love? It's one of the grand Whitesnake epics of if its 40-odd year career.
Wow.
You know, and he'd left it off. I couldn't fucking believe it. So I put it on the European one. It made no sense whatsoever.
There's even a European video that was showed on MTV Europe, and it's like, how do you make a big budget video, show it on MTV Europe, and then come to North America and pretend it doesn't exist?
Yeah, yeah. It was entirely John David Kolodner, and by the time I came out of the flu, it was out at radio and, you know, etched in stone, as they say. But it should definitely have been on the 87 album, as it was in the other parts of the world. Yeah. But as I say, Geffen Records was interesting, let's say. Wow. But yeah, I absolve myself of any shame.
I love
it. Well, thank God for the box sets, and thank God for this blues album, because that song has now been given its proper place in the shrine of Whitesnake.
Solo. John solo. Oh, well, that's the thing with these. You just hear the clarity, the beautiful sound. You can hear the wood of the Les Paul neck on Is This Love, Still of the Night on, you know, on Looking for Love. Beautifully played, beautifully layered. And that was one of the songs, one of the first songs we had. We would jam on that with all the drummers we auditioned and stuff, and with Neil Murray, John and I, no keyboard player. John's little pedal board with chorus pedals and stuff. You know, it was, I was going, oh my God, I can't wait to perform this live. And we've never performed it live.
Well, it's time. It is time.
Yeah.
It's about time.
Well,
anyway.
I hope so.
Yeah. Anyways, well.
All right, my loves.
Yeah, Mr. Coverdale, this was awesome.
For my next victim.
It's okay.
Well, enjoy. But thank you for giving us so much time. Always a pleasure.
Oh, my pleasure.
Always a pleasure.
Nice to meet you, Jeremy.
Yeah, nice to meet you, too. We'll have to do this again sometime.
Look forward to it. All right, boys, please stay safe and well. My love, of course, and stay safe to all your listeners and readers. Okay?
All right.
Thank you
we'll
very
see you
much.
on Twitter.
Cheers now.
God bless now. Ciao, ciao.
Bye now.
Bye.
All right, there we go.
There you go,
Jeremy.
Mr. Coverdale. That was awesome.
Yes, that was terrific. And, you know, hey, the blues album. Listen, these Red, White, and Blues albums have been terrific. If you're a fan and you get these and you hear the differences, you go, wow.
Well, like,
and if you're not a fan or just discovering it, you go, wow, how did I miss this band? These sound great.
Well, that's what we talked about, you know. It's like, and the fact that he cleared that up for me, and it made total sense what he said. You know, the whole point of it was to, you know, just make the performance the star, as opposed to, like, you know, the production. Because when you do take away all of that, you know, crazy hall reverb from, you know, the PCM 70, you know, you hear the notes being played on the fretboard, and you hear, you know, the little ghost notes on the snare, and you hear, you know, it almost sounds like a rehearsal room, like a well-produced rehearsal room tape, and it sounds awesome.
Yeah. Now we just need Def Leppard to re-release Hysteria like that.
Never. We don't need that ever. All right.
Oh my God! But there you go. I believe that's your first chat ever with that was Mr. Coverdale.
My first ever voice-to-voice interaction with Mr. Coverdale, and it was awesome. So that was great.
Yes.
So
that was great. What's always great, and it came together rapidly. I mean, here I am sitting on my day off, and I get a call say, "Can you talk to David Coverdale in an hour from now?" It's like
literally an hour from, and then you text me like, "Coverdale in an hour. Get ready." I'm like, "Okay." I hop out of bed. Put my jacket on.
Hey, it worked out. I mean, had I not been on an off day, I wouldn't have been able to do it. Had you not been starting later in the day, you would not have been. So it was perfect.
It worked out.
But
so.
But it's funny because they first said, "Can you do it at 11:30 p.m. PST?" And I'm like, 2:30 a.m. in the morning. It's David Coverdale. Fuck yeah, I'll set an alarm.
I'm absolutely up at that time for Mr. Coverdale.
Yeah, and then they wrote back and said, "Oh, sorry, that's a typo. It's 11:30 a.m. PST." I'm like, "Oh, okay." But I would have done it either way. So,
and it's cool that he knew us. You know, he knows us from being online and stuff. So,
you know, I guess we're like Twitter personalities or something.
Yeah, I mean. You know,
we're influencers.
You know, with the amount of impressions we do monthly, Mitch, I think we're kind of a big deal.
Well, yeah, okay, I won't brag, but yes, impressions wise, we clean up, which is interesting.
Anyways, all right, enough of this madness. Whitesnake, Red, White, and Blues albums available now. The latest one came out on February 19th. Pre-order, you know, stream it, download it, do what you got to do, but get the vinyl, get the CDs. You want the physical thing. He, as he said in the interview, he put a lot of work into the whole packaging and takes a lot of pride in it. So go buy it and have it in your hands, you know?
Yes, and Whitesnake will tour. He cannot sign your Spotify. He needs to sign your album.
That's a very good point.
Yes.
I remember
Can't sign Spotify.
I remember seeing Justin Bieber in concert a couple of years ago, and he was signing
Can you find
iPhones.
my phone? Can you find my phone?
Well, dude, people have had their iPhones signed. Like, can you sign the back of my phone? And I'm like, what? What's wrong with you? It's smidged by the time the concert's over and all the sweat. It's like, come on. Anyways, all right, there you
like
go.
People can you sign my arm or can you sign my boob? And then they go take a shower. It's like,
yeah,
that was good.
Yeah.
Dave signed here once.
Yeah,
sure, he did.
Well, that's why you bring your tattoo artist with you to the concert.
With you.
You know?
Well, actually, you did that at your birthday party. You had a tattoo artist at the birthday party.
Of course, because if Mr. Coverdale shows up, you know, you got to be ready.
You got to be ready. Well, there you go. Anyway, that was fun. That was interesting. We got plenty of time.
Yeah.
And I only made one mistake this time.
Yeah, that was kind of funny, but who cares? I think, you know.
I know. The funny thing is that I have these tabs in front of me with different points that I want to get to, and I opened up a page plant.
Yeah.
Wikipedia page rather
Nobody
than
died. It's all good.
But at least I did not call him Dave.
No.
I learned that the last time.
And he had a funny answer, so, you know.
Yeah.
Anyways,
anyway,
all right.
Thank you, sir.
There you go.
Bonsoir.